A 27-year-old Swiss national started a fire on a moving train before stabbing and wounding 6 passengers. The attacker and one of his victims, a 34-year-old woman, died in hospital on Sunday.
The unnamed attacker injured 6 people, one of which was a 6-year-old. The 27-year-old suspect is said to have poured a flammable liquid near the train, which was nearing the Zalitz train station, which later caught fire. Police in St. Gallen, Switzerland, say the 27-year-old Swiss national was injured in the attack as well.
To be better prepared against North Korea's growing nuclear threats, Seoul is devising a strategy to take out the regime's missile bases simultaneously if a conflict breaks out. It includes deploying more indigenously made missiles. Connie Kim fills us in on the triple defense posture.
In the face of North Korea's growing nuclear threat, South Korea plans to significantly increase its arsenal of Hyunmoo missiles, which in the event of conflict would be used to simultaneously destroy the North's ballistic missile bases. Exactly how many will be deployed has not been specified, but a South Korean government official said Sunday that Seoul's plan to establish what it calls a triple defense posture includes the addition of more surface-to-surface Hyunmoo 2A and 2B missiles, which have a range of up to 500 kilometers, and Hyunmoo 3 cruise missiles with a target range of 1,000 kilometers.
Beatings, insults, sexual assault and murder are a daily reality facing hundreds of thousands of women in Peru. Now these protesters are acting out their frustrations on the steps of the Judiciary building and making sure their plea is heard by the government. Under the slogan, "Not one less," this is just a taste of the sentiment of those marching against violence inflicted on women and the light punishment dished out to the attackers.
Outrage at 2 high-profile cases of gender violence has tapped into wider indignation that justice is not being done for women in Peru. And that, say protesters, has to change.
In one of the cases, Cindy Arlette Contreras was dragged by her hair through a hotel reception by her nude former boyfriend Adriano Pozo. Despite the security camera images, Pozo was freed with a suspended sentence after judges ruled he'd not intended to rape or kill her.
International medical charity Doctors Without Borders confirms the death of 10 children in a Saudi airstrike on a Yemeni school. According to the aid group, 21 children were injured in the Saudi aerial attack in northern Saada province. The charity also slammed the raid, saying all of the victims were between 8 and 15 years old. However, a Saudi general has denied the school attack, saying the Saudi warplanes hit a training center run by the Ansarullah movement. Riyadh has stepped up its attacks against Yemen since the UN-sponsored peace talks in Kuwait collapsed last week. Saudi Arabia started its war against Yemen in March 2015. Nearly 9,600 Yemenis, mostly civilians, have been killed in the onslaught.
Protests turned violent in the predominantly black north side of Milwaukee after a man fleeing a traffic stop was shot and killed Saturday afternoon. Police say the man was armed, but it wasn't clear if he was aiming at officers. The gun had allegedly been stolen in an earlier burglary in suburban Waukesha. Alderman Khalif Rainey said this entire community has sat back and witnessed how Milwaukee, Wisconsin has become the worst place to live for African Americans in the entire country.
Rioting occurred hours after a police officer shot and killed a man who police said was an armed suspect. The police also said the 23-year-old man had a lengthy arrest record, but they did not disclose the race or the name of the officer and the suspect. Between 200 and 800 protesters filled the street in the neighborhood where the shooting happened. They set several police cars and a gas station on fire, and 3 protesters were arrested.
In Raleigh, North Carolina, on Saturday, police responded to reports of a shooting at a busy mall in an affluent area of Raleigh. Police in Raleigh, who were working on the scene, secured the Crabtree Valley Mall after receiving reports that gunshots were fired inside. The police have said that no suspects are in custody. They also
We just left the mall. They evacuated everyone from the mall. Everyone had to get out and leave. Me and my friend Olivia, we just walked into the mall and we were just there for shopping like normal. And all of a sudden we just hear these loud gunshots, and we didn't know what it was at first. We didn't even know it was gunshots, and we just saw everyone look at a certain direction and their faces just turned to terror, and we just ran like everyone else did. And people were pushing each other and falling down, and it was very scary. We don't know exactly where the shots were fired. We were told they were downstairs near the food court. We heard like 6 or 7 gunshots, and we just ran. We didn't wait to see what else happened.
The Florida Keys are in debate as to whether or not they will allow the release of genetically modified mosquitoes to prevent the spread of the Zika virus. According to Derek Nimmo, a spokesman for Oxitec and a molecular biologist, it's the perfect scientific trial site. Wouldn't it be wonderful if the Keys Mosquito Control District could say, we don't have Aedes aegypti here, you can't get dengue or Zika. A fast-moving wildfire threatened scores of homes at a Northern California lake community that was evacuated because of a devastating nearby wildfire last year. A spokeswoman for the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection said firefighters, aided by water and retardant-dropping air tankers, were trying to keep the fire away from homes north of the lake. Lower Lake was evacuated nearly a year ago by a nearby wildfire that ravaged most of rural Lake County and parts of Napa County about 90 miles north of San Francisco.
Breaking news tonight, a new Northern California wildfire threatening hundreds of homes and forcing people out. Firefighters fighting the flames from the ground and the air. Good evening, I'm Brian Hackney.
And I'm Juliette Goodrich. The flames have ripped through nearly 600 acres in Lake County. The fire is just 15% contained, and there are reports at least 200 structures are threatened. Mandatory evacuations are in place in parts of Lower Lake. Massive plumes of smoke are filling the sky right now. More than 200 firefighters are attacking flames from the ground and air. The heavy brush has made it difficult for crews to get to the fire. Now here's a closer look at the area. The fire broke out just before 5 o'clock near Highway 29 in Lower Lake, just south of Clear Lake. Roads in the area are shut down. An evacuation center has been set up at Highland Senior Center in Clear Lake.
And that is just one of several fires burning in our state. Tomorrow, a stretch of Highway 1 near Big Sur will be shut down because of the wildfire burning in Monterey County. The closure starts at 2 tomorrow afternoon. It could last for up to 24 hours. The Soberanus fire has scorched about 72,000 acres over the past 3 weeks.
Rain and storms turned deadly in Dutchess County. 5 people yesterday were sent to the hospital after getting struck by lightning at a Poughkeepsie park. One of them has died.
Earlier this week, 2 more people were struck by lightning in another town in upstate New York. They were found dead under a tree in a cemetery on Wednesday. The toxicology report on the official cause of death is still pending. The National Weather Service says an average of 31 people per year have died in lightning strikes in the U.S. over the past 10 years. So far, at least 26 people have been killed by lightning this year.
Now, thousands of Venezuelans have been welcomed in Colombia as borders between the two countries have officially reopened. Now, some people have traveled across Venezuela hoping to buy food and other basics such as medicines that are in short supply in the country. Lines of hundreds and even thousands of people are common in Venezuela, and riots and looting are a daily occurrence. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro closed the border last August, hoping to protect his country from smugglers and paramilitaries. I'm glad you touched on Venezuela's economic crisis and the lack of what you just mentioned. They have to cross over the border right now just in search to stand in lines or whatever for rice, sugar, cooking oil. Now, the country depends heavily on oil revenues, and right now, with global oil prices down, Nicolas Maduro's government has taken a lot of criticism that he can't turn things around. But as long as the country is this heavily dependent on oil proceeds, and when the global oil prices are down, what hope is there for the country, for this government or any government in Venezuela to turn things around?
Nigeria's Boko Haram militant group says some of the abducted Chibok schoolgirls have been killed in Nigerian government airstrikes. In a video posted by a Nigerian journalist on Twitter, it shows one of the alleged victims pleading for authorities to release detained militants so that the girls can be freed. The veiled girl is identified as one of the 276 students abducted from a remote school in northeastern Nigeria in April 2014. She says some of her classmates died in aerial bombardments and 40 have been married to Islamic extremist fighters. The Nigerian government said it is in touch with Boko Haram over the video, and President Muhammadu Buhari has vowed to rescue the over 200 students still missing. died in hospital on Sunday.
The unnamed attacker injured 6 people, one of which was a 6-year-old. The 27-year-old suspect is said to have poured a flammable liquid near the train, which was nearing the Zalitz train station, which later caught fire. Police in St. Gallen, Switzerland say the 27-year-old Swiss national was injured in the attack as well.
To be
group. A 27-year-old Swiss national started a fire on a moving train before stabbing and wounding 6 passengers. The attacker and one of his victims, a 34-year-old woman,
includes the addition of more surface-to-surface Hyunmoo 2A and 2B missiles, which have a range of up to 500 kilometers, and Hyunmoo 3 cruise missiles with a target range of 1,000 kilometers.
Beatings, insults, sexual assault and murder are a daily reality facing hundreds of thousands of women in Peru. Now the
South Korea plans to significantly increase its arsenal of Hyunmoo missiles, which in the event of conflict would be used to simultaneously destroy the North's ballistic missile bases. Exactly how many will be deployed has not been specified, but a South Korean government official said Sunday that Seoul's plan to establish what it calls a triple defense posture includes
better prepared against North Korea's growing nuclear threats. Seoul is devising a strategy to take out the regime's missile bases simultaneously if a conflict breaks out. It includes deploying more indigenously made missiles. Connie Kim fills us in on the triple defense posture.
In the face of North Korea's growing nuclear threat,